got a room of incredibly bright minds who day in, day out are living and breathing benefits, and yet often we are challenging an employee potentially at a point of need to sort of navigate the complex ecosystem of benefit provision that exists. I guess, Craig, one of the interesting things for us is that there's sort of a spectrum of what's possible. So perhaps you could talk a little bit to, I guess, the opportunity and some of the areas for thought.
Yeah, and maybe it's good grounding. So when we say agents and moving into whether it's Copilot, Gemini, or ChatGPT, is it now or is it coming? And there's two fascinating data points with ChatGPT. One, for Google, it took 8 to 10 years to hit 1 billion searches a day. Right? So 356 billion searches a year. ChatGPT, that took 2. And as of April of this year, ChatGPT had more visits than Twitter, right? So you get to the point of saying conversation with a system is already the new user experience that we're expecting in our day-to-day lives. And the question is, how do you translate that for the workplace? What makes sense in a conversation? What makes sense in a 200-word summary by an LLM versus in a platform? And we've really worked with Benefex on how do we think about that build? What's good for discovery? How do we make sure that if an employee, typically employee events start somewhere and it's not typically what they're asking about. So if someone's asking about how do I change my address, well, they've probably moved. They probably moved because they're maybe having a baby and they needed a bigger house, right? So how do you make sure you get those connected parts? So the first part in this is making sure you have broadly available content, similar to what Matt was sharing on search of how do we make sure it's contextual. So if they know about the company and the company information versus the internet. The second piece of that is context. Starting with, if I ask an agent about a mobility benefit, I am assuming that agent knows about me, knows where I'm based. So I get the UK-based answer, I don't get the Dutch one. And that's really where you start to get into the user context that the enterprise knows about you. And then you move up those tiers into what you'll see here, level 3 is really about data that a benefit provider owns or Benefex in the platform. So you're really getting into a specialist area that you expect an expert to have a sense of what should that experience look and feel like, how much is enough information to provide guidance for in a chat, and how do you guide them to the right outcome? And that might be summarizing the policy and summarizing what someone's eligible for or a balance, and then guiding them directly to the Benefex platform to complete what they need to complete and complete the task. And I think getting that balance right on sensitivity, value, experience is really key in making sure that you really get the value from the user.